Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. So today I have the Spyderco Smock. Now this was sent in by the support of the channel, so I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Santiago for sending this in to get it customized. So before we get into it, let's put the specs up on screen and we can get right into it. So we have I'd say it's in between a reverse Tonto and sheep's foot style blade with a beautiful hollow grind, so very thin cutting edge. You do have a Spidey hole for deployment. You do have a very generous front finger choil and sharpening choil. You do have some jimping here on top. And the blade steel is made of CPM S30V. So we got a really nice steel here. And these scales, I'm not exactly sure what they are, but we'll get to these in just a moment. We do have full liners, so I will be able to customize it. And you do have a aftermarket deep carry titanium pocket clip, which is not reversible, but with the original scales it is. And you do have a lanyard tube here, 2 standoffs or barrel spacers to keep this thing separated. And then I didn't realize, but this is not a push button lock knife technically. It's actually a compression lock. It just uses a button, as you can see there, to disengage that compression lock. So for quite a while I thought it was a button lock knife, but it is, again, just a compression lock. So the scales, I believe these ones, they're aftermarket. I believe these ones are blue denim micarta. I could be wrong, but I'll leave it up on screen. But the knife does originally come with a black G10, and it's just a textured G10. Almost looks like carbon fiber. But the ergos on this knife are really good, and I was worried that I might be pushing the button when I'm gripping it, but your grip actually but it does avoid the button, so you don't really push down on it. But very smooth action. Got that flipper tab, which unfortunately doesn't have any jimping, but once you figure it out, you kind of light switch it. There's really no, I guess what I'm trying to say is it works without jimping. So really nice action. And the Spidey hole doesn't seem big enough to use your thumb or your finger, but you can actually use it to Spidey flick it and thumb flick it, no problem. So again, really smooth action. Ergos are really good. But overall, the knife is really nice. I can see why this is a really popular knife. What I'll be changing on this knife, and it's going to be the scales. So these are really nice scales, aftermarket scales. But the customer, or Santiago, wanted to use Mexican blanket G-Carta, which I think is going to look really good. Now he wants more of the blue on the scale, which is fine. So I'm going to try to use as much as that blue as I can. So that's what I'll be changing on this knife. So again, let's get into taking it apart and see what's going on the inside. Alright, so here it is all taken apart, and I can tell that these are skiff bearings. So I'm assuming Santiago changed them out from what was originally in there. So it does ride on bearings, so that's good to know. And these scales are from Rip's Garage Tech, as you guys can see there. It is marked. I just didn't know at the moment, but that being said, let's get to customizing it. Alright, so here it is all finished, and we'll take a close look at the show side scale. But I'm really happy with how these turned out. Just a really nice finish. Beveled the edges and gave a nice little finger groove here for when you use the Spidey hole to deploy the blade. So just really nice. I even gave a nice bevel to the push button release or the compression lock button. But I did leave these scales just a little bit thicker than the original, and I'll show you why when I assemble it and put it together. It'll give it a cleaner look, but we'll get more into that in just a moment. But again, really happy with how they turned out. Again, let me know down below what you guys think, because I always appreciate your guys' input. But here's the other one. Just really nice, and that tongue oil just makes these colors really pop, as you can see from the orange here. But super happy with that. And before I put it together, I just wanted to mention that this does have a double detent. And one thing that I did not know, and I just want to relate the message and let you guys know so you don't lose the spring and the other ball detent. So you have the ball detent and then a spring here that fits. I didn't know. I almost actually lost these. So it actually fits into the scale. Let's see, it's the pocket clip side, but there is a little insert right here that I had to get just right. So I really took my time on this hole. But the spring goes there and then the ball sits right on top. And that's actually what forces the second ball detent to go into the blade. So just keep that in mind if you're taking the Smock apart. So with that being said, let's put this together and see what it looks like. So here it is all put together, and I'm really happy with how this thing turned out. Just looks really good. Again, just a different kind of Smock out there. Got the titanium pocket clip on there, and it's all blued, or all the hardware is blued, so it goes really good with the blue. Let me know what you guys think. There it is. It is perfectly centered, and let's see if there's any blade play. So the action is really good. I made sure of that while I was working on it in the shop when I mocked it up to make sure everything worked. So the action does function beautifully, very smooth, and no blade play. So really happy with that. No blade play and almost drop shetty. Got to give it a little bit of a wiggle, but I'm sure once it's loosened up a little bit, it'll do its thing. But you can use the flipper tab. You can use it to, or the Spidey hole to Spidey flick and thumb flick it. So the finger grooves do give you access to that Spidey hole. So really happy that it functions too. And really quick, as I mentioned before, I wanted to talk about why I left the material just a little bit thicker. As you guys can see, the button for the compression lock is now flush with the scale. So that wasn't my intention, but when I was thinning down the material, I did a little mock-up just to see how everything fit, and I noticed the button can be flush with the scale, and I did bevel it to where when you do push on it, it can open. So you can push it like you normally would. It's just now the button is flush, so you don't have a weird wonky kind of button kind of poking out, which is kind of nice because it's a somewhat of a safety feature, and you really got to push on that to open this blade. So no worry about this blade opening in your pocket, and I hope the customer likes it. I'm very happy with it. But there is the Spyderco Smock with the Mexican blanket G-Carta Scales. As always, I appreciate the support. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.